Guys, I've just finished my cup of tea and the tea bag is in the bottom of the cup, so that's a bit of a fuck up. That isn't what I've made this video about. I've made this video with my new lapel microphone to talk about the Thunderf00t Ray Comfort thing. Everybody seems to be talking about it. I'm interested to know what everybody thinks about it. We even know what Sean Venom Fang X, the proper Venom Fang X, thinks about it. He's crawled out the woodwork to tell us what he thinks, and what he really thinks is, why wasn't it me? I wish it was me. It should have been me, not Ray Comfort. But the fact is that Ray Comfort is a bigger fish than you, Sean. I'm sorry about that, but that is the way it is, and that's why it was Ray Comfort and not you. Sean also told us that he hasn't crawled out the woodwork and hasn't come back, which seems a bit strange given that he had crawled out the woodwork and had come back. But there you go. So what does everybody think about this? Okay, so I'm asking you what you think, but I really ought to say what I think about this, didn't I? It's something I'd really been looking forward to. And when it actually happened, when I actually saw it, I was a little bit, I have to say this, I was a little bit underwhelmed by the whole thing. For a start, Thunderf00t didn't seem very comfy. I mean, admittedly, it's not something, as he said himself, since it's not something that he's done before. It was his virginity at doing this kind of thing, and Ray Comfort has done it lots of times before, and he is called Comfort as well, which has got to count for something perhaps. But he was more comfortable. So it got him off to a bit of a bad start. But it seemed that even the very first question that he put at Thunderf00t wasn't. It was like he was taken by surprise that the question had been asked a little bit, and that surprised me really, because you know you're going to talk about certain things. You're going to talk about the origins of the universe, and you're going to talk about morality, and you're going to talk a bit about the Bible, probably about salvation and things like this. There's going to be certain subjects that you're going to discuss, and you should almost, I know it wasn't a formal debate, but you should almost have an off-pat answer there. And this is the thing, you know, because the people who are best at doing this kind of thing aren't always the people, and Thunderf00t said something to himself, that it's not something he's done before, that it's not something he's necessarily tooled up for because of that. It's not always these academic people that are always the best at doing this kind of thing. You know, I've seen several Kent Hovin videos where he talks to some academic, a doctor or a professor from some department, and Kent Hovin really makes them look very, very stupid, because they turn up, these guys, with their hands tucked in their corduroy pockets, walk up to the lectern and sort of waffle on aimlessly about something for a few minutes, as if we already know what they're on about, and there's not really any debate to be had, and they're right and what Kent Hovin's wrong. And then Kent Hovin comes up and he's doing something that he's done literally thousands of times before, that he's polished. You know, you can't polish a turd, they say, but if you bake it in the oven until it's gone kind of hard, and then maybe get a French polisher to work on it, you can get a bit of a buff going, I would have thought. You know, you'll maybe never get a fine polish on a turd, but you can make it look a bit better than a semi-precious stone that's just been cut rough straight from the ground. And that's what happens, you know. Kent Hovin's polished turd looks more polished than the uncut diamond that the academic is presenting. And although this wasn't quite that level, there was an element of that, you know. When you see some of these debates, I don't know if you've watched people like Dawkins and all these kind of guys, the guy who often does the best is Christopher Hitchens. And that's not because Christopher Hitchens knows so much more than these other guys. No, it's just because he presents so well. He's got the answer. His answer is there. It's honed, and he presents it brilliantly. And that makes him such a difficult adversary. But what surprised me was just that Thunderf00t just seemed to get caught up a few times, because it was as if he'd not really worked through all the questions that were going to be asked and what his answers were going to be. It was almost as if, well, yeah, I'm going to have this conversation with Ray Comfort, and although it's quite a major event and tens of thousands of people are going to see it, I'll just kind of think about it when I get there. And that surprised me, that it kind of came across in that kind of way. But don't get me wrong, there were times when Ray Comfort looked far from comfortable, especially when he was asked about paedophilia and rape and God's sanctioning of it, and if God was to sanction these things, would it make them moral? He just refused to answer them, didn't he? Because he couldn't figure out any way that he could legitimise that position, which I found quite interesting, and he needed to be pursued a little bit harder there. I think Thunderfoot should have shown his disgruntlement with that. But it was an interesting discussion, and credit to Thunderfoot for doing it, and credit to Thunderfoot for pissing Sean off that it wasn't Sean as well. So that's how I stand. Well done, Thunderfoot, for doing it. You were capable of doing it a bit better, and I think you probably feel that yourself, that you could have acquitted yourself a bit. And I'm sure if you did it again, certainly if you did it as many times as a Ray Comfort or Kent Hovin did, you would have, it would have been a very, very different sort of outcome to that. Just another thing just before I go, I've made a video the past few weeks on the soul, which I will put out in a few days time. I'm going to put a video out first talking about why I've made that video on the soul. I hope you enjoy it. Look out for it. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks for watching this video, and I'm interested to know what you think about the Thunderfoot Kent Hovin. Oh, what the fuck am I on about? Kent Hovin? No, Ray Comfort Thunderfoot thing. Yes, that's it. Ray Comfort Thunderfoot. Thank you for watching. Bye. Forget about Kent Hovin. It's nothing to do with him.